Good morning, Philippines. Good morning, Cebu City. In today's news, Cebu Doctors University Hospital will be holding a short press conference, which is scheduled to begin in a few minutes. They will be addressing issues surrounding the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 and entertaining questions regarding the same. We have Peter Muaña with us today, live from Cebu Doctors University. Peter?
Right on time, Kate. As you can see, the conference has just started.
Hi, I'm Jhy Marie. I am a medical technologist from Cebu Doctors University Hospital. I will now be entertaining questions.
Okay, so good morning, Miss. I'm Alyssa Pepito, and I would just like to ask, can you describe your daily routine in the lab and describe a day in the life of a medical technologist in a molecular laboratory?
It's redundant actually because it's a daily routine. So first we go to the laboratory to time in, and then after we make a list of all the samples that we're gonna process, then we'll go to the molecular laboratory because it's located outside the laboratory itself. Like it's really outside the hospital premises, and so we have to go there and then wear PPE and then process the samples. After the machine gives us the result, we're gonna make a pathologist verify the result, and then we're gonna release it. So we have to make a pathologist verify all the results first before we release it. So yes, that's it, and then repeat it again, all over again. Next. Then,
Okay, thank you. I have a follow-up question, Miss. Is it your first time working in a molecular laboratory?
yes, it is my first time. This is actually my first job.
So how do you manage to do it, especially na it's your first time niya? We're currently facing this COVID-19 pandemic.
I started working at the Doctors University Hospital last September, and I wasn't a medical technologist yet. That time, I took the board exam last January, and yeah, it was really fine. My my family was supportive. Everyone was supportive, even if it's kind of scary knowing that we're still in the middle of pandemic. But I think I need to be productive, so I applied for a position there and I got the position. So really okay, Lummies. Next question.
Good morning, Miss. I'm Jhy Rosheene Paunel. So my question for you is, what do you think is the major advantage of having a molecular biology lab compared to other laboratories without one?
Well, for me, we can accept patients with or without the COVID test yet. We won't discriminate people. We can't discriminate because we have our own molecular laboratory. We can run the PCR test within our time limit. We don't have to like again to other laboratories if they don't have our PCR results yet, because we have to know if the patient is COVID positive or not, if we were gonna admit them. So I think that's the major advantage that we have if you have a molecular laboratory in your hospital. So yes, next question.
So my next question is, what precautionary measures do you have in your workplace? And so follow up is, are these precautions the same or different from other labs?
I think the same because we all want to be like everything we want everything to be disinfected, right? So mostly we wear proper PPEs, disinfect every swabbing area every after a person gets swabbed. We change gloves. We just follow what the affiliation or like the hospital wants us to do. So make sure hand washing after handling a patient.
Good morning, Miss. My question for you is, what are the biggest challenges right now in a molecular lab with regards to COVID?
Lately, the Cebu cases are increasing. I don't know if you've noticed it, but it's kind of increasing lately. And I think that's because we're like back to normal, like the new normal. People are going out, people are eating, a lot of restaurants, malls, and um, other places are open for people already. And there's even jeepneys, commutes. They're open and the traffic's again back. So I think that's kind of the reason why our cases in Cebu are increasing, and that's the biggest challenges we have right now. We process a lot of samples compared to last year. So, next.
So, a pleasant morning, Miss. This is Kenny Ricafort. So, I just wanted to ask, ever since the pandemic started, were there any major changes in the molecular laboratory that you are working at? Like, did the number of tests increase? Or, and if so, by how much?
Yes, it did. It really did. Last September. No, I only started working in September. Our molecular laboratory was opened or started through last July. So as far as I know, July to December, the cases were decreasing. But since January, it started to slowly increase. Um, we processed samples last September, like around 30 swab tests only per batch. We process batch per batch man every morning and also afternoon. So per batch we process 30. That's like maximum, like our average. No, that's like the average, 30 to 40, and per batch. But now our per batch is like around 100, more like 80 to 100. That's our numbers that we have to process right now because of the sudden surge that Cebu is facing. So, yes, that's it. Next question.
For my next question, Miss, what is the most stressful part about working during a pandemic? What do you do to overcome the stress due to the threat of COVID-19?
I think the most stressful part for me is like the thought of bringing the virus at home. I have a grandma and a little brother that I think they're like vulnerable to the COVID virus, and I think that's really the stressful part. I don't want to, I want to work, but I don't want to bring the virus at home. So I do the precautionary questions that I have to do, and the way I overcome my stress is I'm just stress eating. We do that a lot. I think you do too. So, kansan, samgyup, kanli wings. That's it. Like I really stress eat a lot. So, next question.
Good morning, Miss. My name is
Next
Alan
question.
Raphael C. So, we've known that there have been cases of discrimination of medical personnel in the Philippines. So, my question is, how have you been able to cope with your job and the stigma of of being a frontliner?
So far, I haven't been discriminated. So far, and I hope it will stay that way. Um, yeah, I haven't been discriminated, so I can't really I don't answer the question because I haven't been discriminated. So, I don't know, people really don't care much now, like anymore. They don't really care much anymore about COVID. Like some people don't even believe that COVID is real, and that's like also the most stressful part of my job. People not believing COVID is real. So next
Okay, so for my follow-up question,
question.
Miss, is being exposed to the samples that may potentially have COVID-19 virus, how often is the molecular lab team tested for COVID-19?
Mm. The molecular lab team was tested last, like when the pandemic started. The Civil Doctors University Hospital did a mass testing, and then after that, if you only get close contact with the person who got positive, then you're gonna be tested for COVID. So that's it. If you if you only have if you know someone like if that person, if my workmate was exposed to someone who got positive, then they're gonna be tested for COVID. And then if he gets positive, then all my workmates get it. They're gonna be tested. So contact tracing. That's it. Next.
Good morning, Miss. This is Richelle Nang. Miss, I would like to ask if there is like Do personnel working in the laboratory are allowed to go home, or is there like a living arrangement by the lab or personal arrangement, or maybe you are quarantined before you are going?
Okay, I'm personally from Cebu, so I can go home to my house whenever I want, like every day. But Cebu Doctors University Hospital gives us a choice that we have. They offer a living quarters. But yes, living quarters for people who is not from Cebu or from away from Cebu City. If they want to avail it, they can have it for free. But if they don't want to, then they can go home, and we don't have to quarantine ourselves unless we get positive, or unless we get close contact with the person who got positive. So
Thank you, Miss.
yeah.
I
Next
would like to
question.
ask another question, please. How are specimens handled in the laboratory, especially when the personnel change shift in the laboratory?
Okay. So you're talking about like shifting, right? You're talking about shifting, like people people go to different shifts,
Yes.
correct? You're talking about that. We have in our laboratory, we have a specific refrigerator for all the specimens, for all the COVID RT-PCR specimens. So we all know that we have to place it in there, and if not, then it cannot be processed because the molecular lab team will only look for the specimens in that specific refrigerator. So yes, we have to put it there, and there are CIF forms, like it's case investigatory forms. We have to put it also in a specific place together with not in the specific. So yes, we have to confirm that the two have like there's a specimen, one specimen in also case investigatory form. Yes. Next question.
Okay, good morning, Miss. This is Alyza Taguba of BBC News. So, in terms of workforce, do you have enough people to handle the workload?
So far, like no, yes and no. Like last September to December, the cases were really low. Like it's decreasing, right? So the workforce we have was enough. But now it's kind of growing. So people like my workmates have to undergo overtime. They have like they go to the laboratory at 8 a.m. and then go home at like around 11 p.m. or 10 or even 12 midnight. So yeah, we we really can't do much about it because we can't hire more people because it's kind of enough. It's just that the machine can't do much. Like the manpower is enough, but the machine can't do more. Like it can only handle a limited amount of specimens at a given amount of time. So yes.
For my
Thank
next
you. Next
question, Miss,
question.
this will be more on the technical side. Is CDC's first viral test for SARS-CoV-2 for the CDC 2019 nCoV real-time RT-PCR diagnostic panel, the test being used in the laboratory, or is it CDC's new multiplex assay, which is the CDC influenza SARS-CoV-2 multiplex assay?
Okay, in our hospital, we use the RT-PCR test and also the rapid antigen swab test. That's the only two tests we have for COVID, aside from the inflammatory markers that we have. So I do not know much about this multiplex assay. The difference between the two that I told you, like what just I said, like the RT-PCR and the rapid antigen, is that RT-PCR is much more sensitive and specific to compared to the rapid antigen. So yeah, next one.
Good morning, Miss. This is Shaine Rama, and my question is: were there new technologies introduced to handle COVID-19? If so, how long were you able to learn its mechanisms, and what challenges did it bring?
No, none so far. We haven't had any new technologies introduced to us yet. Like for example, the saliva thing, like the saliva RT-PCR. We haven't been introduced to that yet because I think it's kind of expensive to to invest in new technologies. So yeah, we haven't been introduced to anything yet. What we had from the very beginning was still currently we're using. So next.
My next question is, what are the practices done to ensure quality assurance and control in your laboratory?
We run positive and negative controls together every day in order to know that our machines are working, our agents are also working. We also check for the expiry dates for everything that we have, temperature monitoring. We make sure that the environment and also the samples temperature are within the positive, like within the normal range. Like um, the molecular laboratory should be very cold. So we check that a lot every day. If if like the aircon is working fine, everything is working fine. So that's it. Quality assurance and quality control we do every day. Okay, next.
Is there a specific arrangement of equipment in order to maximize the efficiency in the molecular laboratory? And if so, can you give us a brief summary or detail of the arrangement?
Actually, no. No, we don't have a specific arrangement of equipment. What we have is like a machine, right? So if you know how to do, like, if you know how, if within that machine, other than that, we just use pipettes and the samples and the reagents. So pipettes are like your best friend in the molecular laboratory. So there's really no like specific equipment that we have to use. Like, this is the first thing, and the next, no, no. Like it's kind of easy. Like you only have to do like sample preparation, and the next is reagent, and the next is placing it in the machine, and then waiting for the results, and that's it. So next question.
Good morning, Miss. This is Jane, and my question is, given the variability of viral loads in COVID-19 patients, did it already happen that antigen detection missed cases due to low infectious burden or something variability?
Yes, it did, and also the opposite, like positive antigen swab test, but negative for the RT-PCR swab test. Like in the books, diba, like you have to, if you have a negative antigen swab test, then you have to confirm it with the RT-PCR. But what we do in the laboratory is also the opposite. Like if you have a positive rapid antigen result, we're gonna confirm it with a RT-PCR swab test. So it's not as of what I've told you that rapid antigen is not really that specific and sensitive and accurate compared to the RT-PCR. Because rapid antigen swab test detects also other respiratory viruses like the influenza and other flus. So yeah. Next question.
I would like to ask as well, Miss, how does the laboratory rule out other respiratory viral pathogens such as influenza and respiratory syncytial viruses in testing for COVID-19 cases?
Mm-hmm. In CDUH, the doctors usually are the one who rules out the COVID virus if it is COVID or not. They, as far as I know, they just do the RT-PCR swab test, and then if she and with that RT-PCR swab test, they also do like inflammatory markers, like the blood labs, like blood inflammatory markers, like LDH, ferritin, CRP, procalcitonin, and D-dimer. So if the results are within the COVID range of that blood markers, and she also has, or the patient has also like, a positive RT-PCR test, then they're gonna they're gonna make the person like really a positive person, and then if not, then it's not COVID. Yeah. Next question. Okay, if there are no more questions, we can end it here. Thank you very much.
So that wraps up our conference for today. This was Peter Muaña. Back to you, Kate.
Thank you, Peter, and that's our news for today. Be sure to stay tuned to News Jam Live for more context and analysis of today's top stories. I'm Kate Paguntalan. Thank you for tuning in with us.